The hatred German soldiers developed for the American M2 Browning .50 caliber heavy machine gun, often called Ma-Deuce, stemmed from its ubiquity, reliability, and devastating all-purpose power that far exceeded anything the Wehrmacht fielded in a comparable role. The .50 cal became the signature sound of inescapable death, striking fear into German troops and frustrating their tactical planning on every front. This was more than just a large machine gun. It was a systemic terror weapon deeply integrated into the American war machine. The unstoppable ubiquity. German soldiers were confronted by the M2 everywhere they fought Americans. It wasn't restricted to one vehicle or one unit. It was the standard heavy weapon across all branches of service, ensuring the Germans could never escape its presence. Mounted on everything, the M2 was the primary anti-aircraft and ground defense weapon on nearly every American vehicle. It dominated the battlefield from the turret tops of the M4 Sherman tank, the command posts of the M3 half-track, and the beds of jeeps. This meant any encounter with U.S. armor or motorized infantry was an encounter with the terrifying power of the .50 cal. The quad-mount nightmare. The ultimate fear came from the M16 multiple-gun motor carriage, or Quad 5. This half-track mounted 4 M2s, providing a devastating rate of fire close to 1,800 rounds per minute. Nicknamed the meat chopper by Allied troops, the M16 could tear apart light vehicles, suppress entire infantry platoons, and utterly shred defensive positions in seconds. Germans, lacking a mobile equivalent light anti-aircraft, anti-personnel system, found the Quad 50 terrifyingly efficient. Air superiority. From the air, the M2 was the backbone of American air power. It was the standard armament for the P-51 Mustang and the P-47 Thunderbolt, often mounted in banks of 6 or 8 guns, firing thousands of rounds per minute in coordinated attacks. When German troops heard the distinct ripping sound of the .50 cals in an Allied strafing run, they knew cover was the only option. The sheer power and versatility. The 12.7 by 99 mm round fired by the M2 possessed a combination of velocity, range, and destructive power that German soldiers rarely encountered in a machine gun. Devastating impact. The sheer kinetic energy of the heavy .50 caliber projectile was horrific. It could shatter bones, instantly dismember, and exit the body leaving a grapefruit-sized wound. Unlike the Germans' 7.92 mm round, which could be stopped by light cover, the M2's round offered brutal finality. Armor-piercing capability. The M2 frequently used armor-piercing, or AP rounds, which allowed it to penetrate the thin armor plating on German half-tracks, scout cars, and light armored vehicles at ranges up to 500 yards. This forced German infantry to abandon their light transport and made the M2 a serious threat to even medium German tanks if the gunner targeted vision ports or engine decks. Unmatched range and accuracy. The M2 had an effective range for suppression and long-range fire significantly greater than the standard German MG-34 or MG-42 machine guns. This allowed American gunners to engage German positions from well outside the effective range of German rifle and light machine gun fire, creating a deadly zone of safety for American troops. Reliability and logistical might. The M2's robust design and the American industrial machine behind it ensured the weapon was always available and always functional, further deepening German frustration. The unstoppable weapon, designed by John Browning near the end of World War I, the M2 had an incredibly simple, robust, and reliable mechanism. It was famously tolerant of dirt, mud, and continuous firing. German weapons, particularly the high-maintenance MG-42, often jammed or required more careful upkeep in harsh combat conditions. The M2 simply kept firing. Logistic infinity. Like American artillery, the M2 was backed by an industrial machine that provided effectively unlimited ammunition. American gunners could afford to saturate areas, engage targets of opportunity, and suppress positions liberally, knowing resupply was never a concern. German soldiers, often rationing every round, were demoralized by the relentless torrent of .50 caliber fire. In short, the German hatred for the M2 .50 cal stemmed from the knowledge that they were facing an all-purpose, long-range, and inescapable weapon that they had no direct equivalent counter for, backed by a volume of fire and supply they could not possibly match. It was the epitome of the brutal industrial efficiency of the American war machine.